Hi, my name is Marcus Huyskens, and in this video, we're going to be taking a look at what's new in RePitch version 2. Now, first of all, if you're looking for detailed information on RePitch 2, if you head over to the Synchro Arts YouTube channel, there you'll find a video called How to Use RePitch 2, which is a complete walkthrough and overview. It has detailed chapters with lots of information, and it literally covers everything across the board from GUI to every single different feature and every single different preference from within RePitch. So I'd advise checking that out. That being said, what I want to do in this video is focus on using some of the new features that were added in RePitch version 2, and we're going to do a walkthrough of a basic production workflow for working with some adjustments when we're tuning vocals in a modern production. So let's dive in. Okay, so first things first, we can take a look at the GUI. You can see that we have a newly updated GUI. We have some slightly different colors over here. So as opposed to the blue that we had in RePitch version 1, we have the pitch blocks are available in purple over here. We have all of our unpitched voicings and breaths and everything like that. You can see that these are available in green. In addition to that, we have a toolbar, which we can click, hold, and drag to reposition. So this was one of the biggest feature requests in the previous version, is having something that we could undock and move to an area that's convenient. Also, I want to call your attention to the bottom right over here. We have the ability to expand and collapse. And this gives you access to the different sections. So in RePitch version 1, our main view was a pitch view, which makes sense because we're editing pitch and we're working with manipulating pitch. You also had an area where you could click level to see some level adjustments for adjusting things like the volume. Now we have these kind of consolidated into a neater menu, and each one of these different options, whether we're talking about pitch, level, or attack, which is the new smart attack features, these all give you relevant information that kind of makes sense to what you need to do. So anything that we're looking at in the right-hand section over here has just been kind of cleaned up and consolidated. Now, this is pretty much the extent I want to talk about in terms of introducing these new features. I'd rather just work with them. So to start off with, let's close our editor for a moment and let's take a quick listen to this production. And right now we are going to be working with this track, and we're just going to listen to the lead vocal against the stereo instrumental.
Picture us rolling. Picture us on the PCH, on the way back from the beach to your crib. It's a good day. Guess I'm a little wifey. You're laughing at my rosy cheeks. You're saying you need me now. I know what's next. Don't gotta tell me. Lights up, get the mood right.
So we have a really cool sounding track. Let's come up with a little bit of a game plan. All right, we have a lead vocal double. Let's play the two of these against each other.
Picture us rolling. Picture us on the PCA.
Just going to isolate the lead vocal double just for one quick moment.
Picture us rolling.
Okay, so we've got a pitch deviation there. One of the very first things I want to draw your attention to is I have actually added RePitch 2 to more than one region or more than one clip, depending on which DAW that you're working with. If I double click here and I open this up, take note that we have these different tracks that are available. So for example, if I place my cursor over here, this is going to follow in the ARA compatible versions. This will automatically follow. So let's first of all take a listen to the lead vocal, and we can engage playback from within the ARA editor.
Picture us rolling.
Now let's move to the vocal double track and let's engage playback here.
Picture us rolling.
Okay, so we can hear a pitch difference. Now the very first thing I want to talk about is this is super useful in terms of being able to work with multiple tracks. And what I actually might do right now is, even though we're getting a little bit of ahead of ourselves, I'm going to head over to these vocal harmonies, which are kind of like a stereo pair. Let's take a really quick listen to these.
Wavy, say you need me now.
And let's bring these in against the lead vocal.
Chicks, you say you need me now. I know what's next. Don't gotta tell me. Lights off, get the mood right. About to be a good night.
Okay, so in my DAW of choice over here, I'm just going to bring these into RePitch. And now notice that we actually have 4 different tracks that are available. We'll just give these a moment so that they are ingested. Take note in the bottom left over here that RePitch has automatically done a scale detection. If you know what scale you're working with, and this is correct, you have the ability to click apply, and then this is automatically going to load that scale into the scale section, which once you do this, you have the ability to use some of the macros. So normal pitch range, and you could snap the notes to the measured scale or anything like that. I actually prefer to work in a chromatic scale pretty much like 95% of the time. So I'm going to just exit out of this, but let's talk about some of the use cases here and some of the workflows with respect to multiple tracks. Let's hop back over to our lead vocal just momentarily. We'll make sure that we select this track. Now, Take note that if we have any one of these tracks selected, like for example, the lead vocal double, we actually have the ability to pin and we can set this as a reference track. Take a look at what happens here. So you can see the minute we have the lead vocal double, which is what we're working with, the minute I've set this to a reference track, we have an overlay. And you can actually see that the pitch is different here. If I take a look at these different pitch blocks, you can see this pitch is actually completely different in this section. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to solo both of these tracks together, and I'm going to temporarily make sure my instrumental is not playing. And let's play the two of these together. And we're looking at our vocal double, with the reference point or the reference track actually being the lead vocal, which we've pinned.
Picture us rolling.
Also, what I'm going to do, this is a really good case for setting screen lock. If I don't want things to move around and I want to be kind of manually in control of my zoom, I can use my Option Command modifier, click hold down to kind of vertically dynamically zoom this. Or I could also use the zoom section over here, or I could pull out the actual handles to take a look at this. So let's play the two of these together. And I'm engaging playback from within the DAW. Everything's following. We're looking at this reference.
Picture us rolling. Picture us on the PCH. On the way back from the beach to your crib. It's a good day.
Okay, so we can see just visually here by the overlay of the different waveforms that we have some pitch issues that we wanted to straighten out. Now, in addition to that, also, if I hop over to the attack section, take a look at what happens here. Here we have a different reference. So here we have just the waveform overlaid, and this is giving us an indication with respect to timing. So I can see some areas that might be a little loose over here. Now, if we play from here.
Picture us rolling. Picture us on the PCH. On the way back from the beach.
So you can see that flam that we had over here on the way back. We could actually just hop in and start making edits, but I'm going to show you in a little bit some of the really cool things that we can do. The last thing I want to take a look at, though, is let's temporarily close our editor. Take a look at these vocal harmonies, and let's just double click to open this. If we take a look at these vocal harmonies, I want to bring in my vocal harmony, and let's bring in the lead vocal as a reference point, but let's go to the attack, and I want to see, because the pitch doesn't really matter in this case, they're not the same pitch, but I want to see these words that are kind of overlaid over each other. And we can zoom into these sections using the bars over here if we wanted to kind of use this to navigate. We can scroll across these different sections. This gives us a really good indication with respect to the timing. Now, in addition to using the lead vocal as a timing reference, we could now leave the vocal harmony selected and we could bring in the Vox Harm right. And now in this case, we can take the lead vocal out, and now we're looking at these two together so we can see how aligned these are. So this is pretty good. We can see that there's some slight deviations here. Okay. This is kind of an overview of using these tracks as reference, right? Is we have the ability, we can do it in the level as well, but in the level, it's good if you wanted to match the volume and the amplitude of these two tracks, you could use a level view, but typically speaking, working between the pitch view and the attack view is a really good place to start. So let's go back up to our lead vocal. And I'm going to be honest here, in order to keep this tutorial kind of moving, I'm going to be taking a little bit of shortcuts. So in terms of pitch, this lead vocal performance obviously is a great sounding performance. It was comped together. It was sung by a professional singer. It's really good. Let's see if there's anything that we need to knock in line.
Picture us rolling. Picture us on.
Okay, so maybe this word over here. This, I'm going to make a choice in terms of how I want to approach this. Now, there's so many different ways that we can do this. We can use the center notes tool. We can use the draw tool. I'm going to switch to the single edit mode because I don't want to adjust the timing. Let's click, hold, and drag, and let's just isolate this. This one needs to be brought up. Let's addition that and make sure that that works. So I'm going to make a highlighted selection across here, and I'm going to use the / key to play.
Picture us rolling. Picture us on the PCA.
Okay, so that all sounds good to me. Now, one thing I want to point out really quickly is that if you hover into any one of these pitch blocks and we make a highlighted selection, we have these different macro controls at the bottom. So we have, for example, we have drift, we have the level change, and in addition to that, we have the correction amount. Now, I've corrected this manually by ear, but I want to draw your attention to one area in the top left, which is the Formant shift. So when you're in the pitch block, we've always had the ability with the previous version of RePitch to use a Formant shift, but now we can actually do this on a note-by-note basis. So if you've made Formant changes where, for example, we just move this a little bit up, I could complement this with moving the Formant down to make this sound a little bit more natural.
Picture us on the PCH on the way.
I'm going to deselect the screen lock now because I want this to follow. And let's play again from here. I'm just going to tune notes that actually stand out to me.
Picture us rolling.
Oh, let me take the lead vocal double out of solo.
Picture us rolling. Picture us on the PCH on the way back from the beach to your crib.
Okay, I want to draw your attention to another area over here. If we zoom this out, this word here, on the way back, let's double click from within the editor.
On the way back from the beach.
Two different ways that we can approach this. I like going to the level view for these because it's kind of a consolidated way of looking at things. We can simply click and we can drag and we can hold this down. So now I'm smoothing things out.
On the way back from the beach.
Okay, maybe I took this down a little bit too much. Now I'm actually going to bring in the lead vocal double as a reference to see if I have that problem with the double as well. It looks like I've made this a little bit more even. Maybe this one could come down a bit because it still looks a little loud. So that looks like it might be a little bit better. We can kind of scroll through and see if there's any issues that we might have. Let's take a listen to this.
To your crib, it's a good day.
Okay, these are really, really useful in terms of making use of these alternate tracks and pinning these as different references, whether you're in the pitch view, whether you're in the level view, or whether you're in the attack view. Okay, I need to keep moving along here. So let's kind of like let this play and let's just handle any tuning issues. Let's temporarily take our lead vocal double off as a reference and let's just handle any tuning issues as they come up.
Picture us rolling. Picture us on the PCH on the way back from the beach to your crib. It's a good day.
This area over here, all right, I want to smooth this out a little bit. A couple different approaches that I could take. What I might do is just hop into the draw tool and I might kind of redraw this transition as if though it was like this. All right, let's double click to play.
Yes, I'm a little wethy.
And I think I can do a little bit better job in terms of smoothing this out. And maybe we'll switch to our scissors tool and we'll just bring this down. We can also swap over to the center notes. We can select these and we can bring in the correction amount and let's see if this kind of smooths that out a little bit. We'll play from here.
You laughing at my rosy cheeks, you say you need me now. I know what's next.
Okay, let's go back to this section. I'm going to take my screen lock off because I don't want to lose this section. This last note over here, I'm going to make a highlighted selection across these, and I'm actually going to switch back to the main tool. Let's make a highlighted selection. I'm going to click the J key to join these, and now I can move this as one pitch block. And the other thing that I might consider doing is let's zoom in a little bit here. We're going to move over to the shaper tool. I'm going to add some shape points across here. And I want to basically just kind of tame this down. So let's grab the Alt Option modifier key and let's tame down this one point over here.
Need me now, I know.
Okay, perfect. Now, quickly, I want to hop over to the double track. So let's go over to the double. And with the double, we have the lead vocal as a reference point. So if we play from the start, I'm going to deselect the screen lock.
Picture us rolling.
Because we have these overlays of the pitch of what's happening with respect to the lead vocal that I brought in here, I can actually just take both of these and let's switch to the single edit mode. The difference between the single edit mode and the multi-edit mode is in the single edit mode, we're just adjusting the pitch. In the multi-edit mode, we have the ability to adjust the pitch and the timing. I just want to adjust the pitch now. So let's go to our single edit mode. I'm going to just click, hold, and drag. And this one as well. I like to do a lot of my tuning by ear. Let's play this.
Picture us rolling.
Okay, now this is sounding a little bit awkward to me. Let's take the lead vocal off and let's see if we can kind of smoothen this out. Okay, so for this one, there's a lot of different ways that we could approach this. We could use the shaper tool and we could drag some points and we could kind of try to like redistribute this and click and hold to drag these up. But let's undo that. And I'm going to actually use the main selector tool. If I click, hold, and drag this, we have the drift control in the bottom section over here, which is right about there. Also, this area that it's going up, I'm just going to move over to the draw tool and let's just kind of like retransition this and let's see how this sounds now.
Picture us rolling.
And this Formant, I'm going to actually bring this down because it sounded like it went up too high for me.
Picture us rolling.
And this here. Now, if we bring our lead vocal back in as a reference, we can see what we're working with here. Okay. Now, this area over here, let's take a listen to these. And I'm going to bring in our lead vocal. Let's play these together.
Picture us on the PC.
Now, I could bring these up if I want. And this indication over here is telling me something's going on. Let's listen.
PCH on the web.
There's another rub there.
PCH.
Let's go to that area over here. And this one goes a little bit too high again. So if we play these, we make a highlighted selection, /key.
On the way back from the beach.
Okay, so that's too high. So I'm going to bring this down. So there's a number of different ways that you can do this. I do everything by ear, and I don't really worry about anything snapping. I do everything by ear. If you do want to have things snapping though, if you choose this option to drag notes in semitone steps and we click save, then as we drag, it's automatically going to snap. Typically speaking, I like to relieve myself from the grid, and also worth noting is that if you wanted to make any adjustments, let me go back to my settings and take the drag notes and semitones off. I can simply click anywhere and it's going to snap to the nearest semitone anyways. So in this case, I could go down and then I could snap here. Same thing here, and it's going to always be to the nearest semitone.
On the way back from the.
But these two, they don't sound right when I snap them. Let's take a listen to two of these together.
On the way back from the beach.
Okay, perfect. All right, so this is it, right? We're just going through, we're using some of the tools. I want to make one small change here. Notice how these are disconnected. Your first instinct might be to use the draw tool and to draw something like this, which will work. That's okay if we listen to that.
On the way back from.
But another thing that you can do, it's kind of something that's not immediately obvious, is if we switch back to our single tool, make a highlighted range selection, we have the option to smooth join the selected notes. Take a look at what happens. I'm going to highlight both of these together. I'm going to zoom in on them a little bit further. I'm going to use the M key, which is a shortcut. Take a look at what happens as we do this. This kind of just smoothens out the amplitude, and this is kind of like something I like to do. Sometimes it's just two adjacent pitch blocks, as I will use the smooth join.
On the way back from the beach to your crib, it's a good day.
Let's make an adjustment here, and let's just take a listen to this.
Good day.
Okay, so this one is too low. Now that's better. Let's listen again.
Good day.
Okay, I could also use a Formant shift, right? Because I've changed the Formant. If it doesn't sound natural, I could make a Formant shift, but I'm not going to in this case. Now let's just start by click holding and kind of flattening this out.
Good day.
Okay, so that doesn't sound too bad to me.
Good day.
Okay, let's bring in our lead vocal against this, and let's play the two of them.
A good day.
Okay, perfect. Everything that I'm showing you right now is just basically making use of the tools and doing the least amount of work as possible that we need to get some transparent sound results. There's so many different ways: the shaper tool, the draw tool, center notes tool. One thing though that sets RePitch 2 apart is with respect to the smart attack. So temporarily, I'm going to hop into the lead vocal as my main reference point, and I'm going to adjust the zoom settings so that we're looking at pretty much everything that's happening from, let's say, about here to here. And also let's make an adjustment to our vertical zoom. And I want to really kind of pay attention to the timing. So temporarily, I'm going to bring in my metronome. Let's take a listen.
Picture us rolling. Picture us on the PCH. On the way back from the beach to your crib.
Okay, let's bring in our vocal double as a reference. But now we're going to come out of pitch view and we're going to go into the attack view. All right? And let's bring this in even a little bit more so we can kind of really see what's happening with these little discrepancies with respect to timing.
Picture us rolling. Picture us on the PCH. On the way back from the beach to your crib, it's a good day.
So let's say that we wanted to make a change. We wanted to quantize the timing of this lead vocal. Keep in mind that we've always had the ability to adjust the timing, but this is something completely different with the smart attack point. So what I'm going to do is I've got the lead vocal loaded here. Now, I'm in the attack mode. Where the grid is set to none right now, I'm going to set it to bar beat. Now notice that we have these bar beat boundaries, and also notice that we have all these different smart attack points which have been automatically calculated by RePitch 2. I could actually make a selection across these right over here. And then we've got some different options. We have align all attacks to grid, which is going to look through the whole entire performance, or we have align selection to grid. Let's align the selection to the grid, and keep in mind we have the vocal double open as a reference. Let's click that. Let's listen to the results of that, and we're just soloing the lead vocal right now.
Picture us rolling. Picture us on the PCH. On the way back from the beach to your crib, it's a good day.
If we now hop over to the lead vocal double, So let's go over to the lead vocal double. And now the lead vox is our reference point. Now with the lead vocal double, we can actually set the grid to be the lead vocal. And then we can make the same selection across here. And then we can align this selection to the grid. So now let's take a listen to the two of these together.
Picture us rolling. Picture us on the PCH. On the way back from the beach to your crib. It's a good day.
Okay, we have an issue with this one right over here. So let's grab this point over here and let's just pull that over a little bit. Whoops, it's the other one. We'll pull it over this way. And now we've kind of locked those into place. Now let's take a listen.
Picture us rolling. Picture us on the PCH. On the way back from the beach to your crib.
Okay, let's take our click out and let's bring in our instrumental.
Picture us rolling. Picture us on the PCH. On the way back from the beach to your crib. It's a good day. Guess I'm a little wetty. You're laughing at my rose chicks. You're saying it me now.
Okay, now for this one, for the lead double over here, we have our lead vocal, our main vocal as a reference. I'm going to make a highlighted selection and say like, okay, whatever the lead vocalist did for the timing there, I love that, and I just want to align that further. So let's bring this in so we can kind of really see what's happening, and let's peel this back a little bit. So now I'm taking all these points, and it's worth mentioning, it's already pretty good if we listen.
Guess I'm a little wetty. You're laughing at my rosy chicks, you're saying it.
But now let's make it perfect by choosing the align selection to grid. We're in the lead vocal double. We're using the lead vocal as a visual reference, and also we're using it as the grid reference. And now let's align the selection to grid. Boom, we've just tightened that up.
Guess I'm a little wetty. You're laughing at my rosy chicks, you're saying it me now.
So this is amazing, because we have the ability to make all of our tuning adjustments, and we have the ability to also freely and independently, section by section, go through the vocal, decide exactly what we want to be kind of like the main thing that we're using as the pocket, and we can adjust those timing, and we can quantize based on these different grids, right? Now, one more thing I want to take a look at. Okay, so we're talking about lead vocals right now, but temporarily let's close our editor and take note that we also have these different vocal harmonies that are in. So if we bring these into the equation, and we're going to be playing now our lead vocal double, and our harmonies.
You're laughing at my rosy chicks, you're saying it me now. I know what's next, don't gotta tell me.
So let's say that I wanted to tighten up these as well. I'm going to open up the editor, and we're going to move over to our lead vocal harmony, which is a high harm. And because we're in an ARA editor, I can use my timeline in my DAW to actually get my positioning of my cursor right. And now what I can do is let's just kind of like make a zoomed out selection, and all of these different sections over here. Let's just say from everything going up to about bar 15, somewhere around there. So let's make our extension here. And I'm going to highlight all of these different points from within our Vox high harm. And our Vox high harm is set over here. And our lead Vox is going to be our reference point. And take a look at what happens when I align the selection to grid. Perfect. Now I'm going to move over to the exact same section, but on Vox high harm right. Now on Vox high harm right, I'm going to make the left a reference point. And I'm going to change the grid reference to here, and I'm going to make that same selection, and I'm going to align these selections to grid. So now, if we take a listen to the two of these together, and let's make sure we take out our lead vocals, these should be nice and tight and aligned against each other.
Saying in me now, what's next? Tell me, lights off.
Okay, perfect. Those are sounding great. And if we bring in our leads.
You're saying in me now, I know what's next, don't gotta tell me. Lights off, get the mood right, it's a big midnight. I've been craving you so bad.
Okay, now what I really like about this workflow is that we can kind of make free decisions as we're going. We have an instance of RePitch just across 4 different events. I still have complete control over everything that I'm doing here. So I have the ability to do all the same amazing tuning stuff that we've always been used to, but we now have the added benefits of the reference tracks and the guide tracks. We can work with the grid as a reference point. We can work with other tracks as a reference point. We can bring in as many visual references that we need to adjust the timing. We can quantize that timing in an automated way using Smart Attack. And then also, in terms of our basic pitch tools, we still have all the amazing pitch tools that we've always had with RePitch, and there's so many different ways to get natural results using those reference points to kind of minimize the guesswork of tuning when you've got one good track as a lead. It's amazing. I'm Marcus Huyskens. We will catch you in the next video. Cheers.